From Eyewitness News, this is Newsmakers.
Founded nearly a decade ago by businessman Ken Block, the Rhode Island Moderate Party is once again expected to field a candidate for governor this year. The party has kept its spot on the ballot thanks to the popularity of their memorable candidate in 2014, the late Bob Healy, an iconic political figure in the Ocean State. What are the moderates' goals in 2018, and how do they respond to the criticism that they're doing nothing more than taking votes from major party candidates? Our guest on the first half of Newsmakers, Moderate Party Chairman Bill Gilbert. Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White. Joining me on the second half of the program, two political analysts, Joe Fleming and Lisa Pelosi. We have big news. We have a poll coming out next week, so we're going to have a little discussion on that during a political roundtable. But on the program with me now from WPRI.com, reporter Ted Nesi. Moderate Party Chairman Bill Gilbert, thank you for joining us on the program. It's good to have you.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
So you have a campaign account registered to run for governor. You have $100,000 in that campaign account. Are you locked in as the Moderate Party candidate for governor?
I am desperately trying to find a candidate that shares the same vision as myself and the vision of the party here, the Moderate Party in Rhode Island. Will I be a candidate? There's a strong possibility I could be a candidate, but I think there are people that I idolize and I look up to that I think would be a better choice.
Like who?
I don't want to speak out of school. It's kind of like going to Las Vegas here. Politics is a nasty sport. It's a blood sport, and I want to keep those conversations I've had close to the
Have you gotten interest?
I do have. I've had a lot of interest. I've had meetings with prominent people on both sides of the fence and independents also. So we're excited with the movement that's happening here, and I think as we broadcast our platform and our principles, I think we're only going to gain in strength.
What's sort of the timeline, Bill, as you look? Because as Tim said at the top, one important thing people remember is the Moderate Party still has a line on the ballot, like the Republicans, like the Democrats. You won't be just off in independent land to say that. So what's sort of the time frame for you and the other party leaders to decide who that candidate will be to coalesce?
Well, I think we have up until June, until the actual declaration date. We're actually, the Moderate Party is actually trying to present a viable, credible candidate that has, marketability and that has a centrist position. People are, and myself personally, we're disgusted. There are people out there that are just flat out disgusted with what's happening with Donald Trump. We're also flat out disgusted with what's happening with the Hillary Clintons. People are sick of email campaigns and scandals, and we hold people to a much higher standard and much lower level positions. And what the two major parties has currently brought us is Hillary and Donald Trump. That's the best they brought us. People are sick of that. But people want to know why people, we have children at D2F that we're struggling to take care of. I don't want to talk about dead babies, but that's what's happening. We're talking about funding paw socks. We're talking about funding a bunch of millionaires while schools are crumbling. These are universals. I think there's people in Rhode Island, everybody wants to wake up to a better tomorrow. 3 months from now, we all want to wake up and have a better Rhode Island. We all want to leave our children a better place, but that's not happening. It's not happening anymore.
So we got a sort of a preview of where you might stand on some of the big issues, and we're going to dive into those a little bit more. You talked about Donald Trump. You talked about Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. You're not running for president, nor is anyone from the Moderate Party. How do you feel how Governor Gina Raimondo's doing?
I think if we all felt Gina Raimondo was doing an excellent job, we would probably not be fielding the candidate. We think we can do a better job. Again, I think, personally, not speaking for the party, personally, I put her at the same level of what's going on with the Trump and the Hillary campaigns. What's going on in our state where we're having these issues at DCF and our roads and our bridges are crumbling, but she's in California? I don't understand that.
So what letter grade would you give her, A through F? If you were an educator?
As a hiring manager, if she was working for me, I'd fire her.
Pretty strong.
I think that needs. I think we need a strong change management. I think that we have people that have resumes that don't line up with their job descriptions. We got to stop hiring our friends. If we're going to hire our friends, what I think we need to do is hire our friends that their resume matches the job description. We need to execute. We don't have a money problem. We've got $9 million. It's not a money problem. This is an execution problem. We need managers. We don't have managers. We need managers, we need leaders, and we need vision and inspiration. That's where we need to go.
I have one other question for you, technically, about how the candidate will end up. You surprised all of us, the moderates, in I think it was September of 2014, when the candidate who was running as the moderates dropped out citing health, and Bob Healy, as Tim said, went on the ballot, got 21% of the vote. The Republicans tried to block you from doing that. Could you see that happening again, a change in the moderate candidate as late as September?
I would hope not. I believe we're out in front this time. We're actually actively recruiting. We will have a candidate, and it will be a credible candidate, and we're going to be better funded. Bob Healy and I had that conversation. It was on purpose. Mr. Spooner did have a health opportunity, an issue,
yeah.
And that presented an opportunity to somebody like myself and people like Bob Healy. Even though we weren't 100% aligned, that's kind of what the moderate party is. Everybody's not all aligned, but I don't know. I know progressives that don't believe in a universal minimum wage. I know Democrats that believe in balanced budgets. I know Republicans that want to help get the homeless people off the corner, and we have serious mental health issues, and we don't have beds for these people. These are universal. If people are sick of the parties, if you look at the Democrats, there's 3 distinct parties. If you look at the Republicans, there's 3 distinct parties. You got the far right, you got the far left. Who's talking about the real issues? Who's talking about the bread and butter, brick and mortar issues of the state of Rhode Island? Why can't we fix our bridges and roads with $9 billion?
Are there any moderates currently in office in Rhode Island at any level?
There's a town council member over in Barrington. He considers himself a moderate, and he's registered moderate. Right now there's 3,000, I believe, 3,000 plus registered moderates. We're picking up steam. We were at 6,000 at our high point, but what happens, I believe, through primaries, people switch parties and they don't switch back, or they go back to independent. One of the reasons why third parties don't gain traction is not the throw away your vote. The throw away your vote comes about by how we have plurality elections. Winner take all. The presidential election is going to be very, very hard to beat because of the Electoral College and the way people vote. We strategically vote. We get in our mindset that people can't win, so therefore it's a throwaway vote. But 2010, Lincoln Chafee, he won. We have people at the local level that win independent all the time. What do you mean? What physics says that it's a throwaway vote, that it can't happen? Bob Healy and I ran a campaign with $37 and $39 and a cell phone, and got 22% of the vote. A lot of people want to say that was because Bob Healy, could you catch lightning in a bottle twice? The stars are even more aligned. People are even more disgusted with what's going on. And what we plan on doing is running a candidate right up the middle that wants to talk about both. We're not Republican, Democrat. Once you get in office, you're for the people. What makes sense? How do you spend money? We only have so much. How do we divide it up? And I think the devil's always in the details. Right now, everybody's screaming so loud, nobody's listening.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you, and I want to get into some of the issues that could be, on voters' minds as we move through this year. I'm going to ask you a couple of rapid-fire questions about where you stand on some of the issues here. Do you support or oppose legislation that would ban so-called assault weapons or semi-automatic rifles like the AR-15 from Rhode Island?
You asking me personally, or is the Moderate Party chairman?
What's the difference?
There's a significant difference. This isn't the party of Bill Gilbert. We actually have meetings, and we caucus ourselves, and we actually discuss these issues, and then we make a vote on a position.
So I'll ask you, as a potential candidate for governor, where you stand on that. Support or oppose that legislation?
Not having seen the legislation, I can tell you it is tremendously sad that our students are being killed with guns. But at the same time, I recognize the Second Amendment is not about hunting. It's about being able to protect ourselves from the government. So I don't know how I balance those two, and I think we need a stronger debate. And I'll tell you personally why. We've seen over in the last year and a half, we've seen some pretty crazy things from our government. You know, a year and a half ago, we had a guy that got choked out in New York because he was selling loose cigarettes. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Well, let me keep going through the issues. Do you support or oppose legislation that would make it legal to smoke marijuana for those 20 years of age or older?
I believe we should regulate it and decriminalize it immediately. Currently, we're pretending we're decriminalizing it. We just passed in Richmond. They just they just gave the permit for the first pot farm, but we're still giving kids $50 tickets if they actually smoke it. We're using our criminal laws to pad our budgets right now, and it's crazy. Along with the speeding tickets, the cameras, and our marijuana laws, we need to decriminalize it right away. These are, when we have these problems like the heroin epidemic and marijuana, these are health issues. We do not lock up diabetics because they quit taking their insulin. These are issues that are best dealt with the health professionals, and we need to immediately decriminalize.
Are you pro-choice or pro-life?
Personally, geez, I got 3 grandkids, and I don't think the state should be in that issue.
So you don't want to answer that one if you're pro-choice or pro-life?
Again, I think it's a health issue. Myself, I had children and I didn't abort them.
It sounds like you're against the PawSox plan based on your opening comments there. Are you comfortable then with the PawSox heading to, say, Worcester?
Yes. No public funds.
No public, should be completely 100% private funds.
When we don't have the funds, again, to run our basic services, we can't prop up sports teams that can, A, do it themselves, B, the public-private partnership is a scam. It's not a venue that I can rent out like the Civic Center. If I want a true public-private partnership, I want to be able to use those recreational facilities, and not on a permission basis. Those are the problems with that. It's not even a government agency that we elect. It'll be some PawSox team say, yeah, you can have a rock concert. No, you can't have a rock concert. And it's just a little tease. I also believe that if I put it out to a public bid, if I put out requests for proposals and said, hey, I got $60 million here, what are the opportunities I got? I think $60 million is way better spent at the Providence Zoo. I think the attendance is better, and I think I got a better viable future over there.
I have one more question for you in this line. Did you support or oppose the Trump tax plan?
I haven't even, it was too complicated. I don't even know what my tax is going to look like this year. So that one is a
wait and see.
It's going to be a wait and see. How's it going to play out? Their tax plans, well, they're good on paper. What are the law of unintended consequences? I don't know how that's going to be. The market took a big jump when it happened. If you want to say the market is the indicator of economic activity, I don't know if it is. I think jobs are a better indicator of that. You know, not everybody participates in the stock market, but I think there was a lot of excitement. But I'm a big advocate of the people are the best stewards of their money.
I was looking through your platform. It's is that out yet for people to read? We asked if you could share it. It is in pieces and drabs. We're going to be publishing it probably this weekend. Okay, so there were a couple interesting points in there. One I wanted to ask you about was you mentioned term limits for members of the General Assembly, or the Moderate Party mentions that in there. What do you guys think the term limit should be for legislators? We didn't address that when we issued that platform because it's still something we're talking about internally as a party. We don't have a position on what those term limits are. But what we did talk about is the higher level principles. What we're trying to get to is the guiding principle that we would apply to an issue. What we recognize is that humans are fallible. We all fall to temptation. I know tomorrow I'm going to wake up, I'm going to make a mistake. I'm human. And I know other people are going to make a mistake, and our government's based on humans that are fallible. And they're also subject to temptation. So the longer somebody's in office, the more temptation it gets. The bigger the power, the bigger the temptation. And in the spirit of rotation, we talked about, in the spirit of rotation, allowing new people to bring new ideas and fresh ideas to an organization. So we didn't put that down. We've talked about 2 terms, 3 terms, maybe 4 terms. We haven't done that, but we do feel at some point in time you got to change the oil. You have to have some turnover. You got to change the oil.
Moderate Party Chairman Bill Gilbert, it's really good to get to know you. We hadn't met you until you walked into the studio, and we hope we get to know you more throughout 2018. Thanks for joining us on the program. When we come back, Lisa Pelosi, Joe Fleming join us for a political roundtable. Stay with us. You're watching Newsmakers. Bill.